Oh, yeah. Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
Hello, welcome back. Week 3. You know, I never know what I'm going to say. Also, if I'm sparkling, I'm sorry, that's because I had sparkly lip gloss on earlier, but I had to rub it off because I thought I wouldn't be taken seriously with the sparkly lip gloss. Anyway, it must be time for... We're back. I'm leading with this story from Al Jazeera. Headline: What's behind the Ramadan raids at Jerusalem's Al-Aqsa mosque? By now, surely you have seen news of this. I'm reading: Before dawn on Wednesday, Israeli police stormed the Al-Aqsa mosque compound in occupied East Jerusalem, attacking dozens of worshippers in the mosque. Israeli police, who claim they were responding to rioting, beat worshippers with batons and used tear gas and sound bombs to force them out of the prayer halls, according to witnesses. This is madness. This is religion. What is this? I will never understand hating in the name of God. Do you understand what this is all about? It's not war, it's terrorism. I'm going to continue reading. Why would armed security forces enter a mosque? Israeli police said in a statement that they were forced to enter the compound after masked agitators locked themselves inside the mosque with fireworks, sticks, and stones. When the police entered, stones were thrown at them, and fireworks were fired from inside the mosque by a large group of agitators, the statement said. The Israeli police also said that according to a prior agreement with the Al-Aqsa compound authorities, no one was to spend the night inside the compound during the month of Ramadan. The police said that they peacefully tried to convince people to leave, but when that didn't happen, they forced their way into Al-Aqsa. I'm skipping ahead in this article. The links are all there on the Stylander's links page. Why are Palestinians fearful about Al-Aqsa's future? The Al-Aqsa compound sits on a plateau in East Jerusalem, which Israel captured in the 1967 Six-Day War and later annexed in a move not recognized by most in the international community. For Muslims, the compound hosts Islam's third holiest site, Al-Aqsa Mosque, and the Dome of the Rock, a 7th century structure believed to be where the Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven. The compound is also where Jews believe the biblical Jewish temples once stood and is known to them as Temple Mount. The contested site has been the focal point of the decades-long Israeli occupation of the West Bank. We'll provide links to more info about the Six-Day War and the rest of it. Also, apologies if you can hear helicopters, etc. We're not in a war zone, even though that seems to be really good background noise for now. But this is just the lovely Studio B background noise. Look, there are other links to everything, including what's happening to the States of America with that Orange Joffrey and his repulsive behavior, and what's happening to him, and he is getting charged, and what he wants out of this. And one good thing that hasn't happened, that there are no photographs of Orange Joffrey in handcuffs, because I think he wanted to benefit off this, have it sold as merchandise or something. But you know what? I would have loved to see him in that orange jumpsuit with handcuffs. But I don't even want to say his name. It's repulsive. I cannot believe this person is still given as much airtime as they get given. But there's some disgusting things happening in the States of America. 2 black represent House parliamentarians, politicians, I don't know, opposing gun violence have been stripped of their parliamentarian status. I don't know the proper terminology for the American, political system. But, and the woman who was with them, or who, I don't know, she's not, it's just so blatant. The links are all there to articles. I don't really feel like, I just continue to be terrified for the states of America. But the rest of the world isn't in good health. There are things happening. Putin's war on Ukraine is affecting the world's grain, literally, and metaphorically. There are storms everywhere. Also from Al Jazeera, are storms getting more powerful and dangerous? I'm reading, it started off innocuously like any other tropical storm, But Cyclone Freddie, born off the northwest coast of Australia in early February, was anything but ordinary. It intensified, then headed west and crossed the southern Indian Ocean, traveling more than 8,000 kilometers to reach southeast Africa. By the time it eventually dissipated after making 2 landfalls in mid-March, it had become the longest-lasting tropical cyclone in recorded history. It was also the most powerful storm ever recorded in the southern hemisphere. Look, it's definitely, things are really, really happening and unfurling fast. And in some episodes on Radio Fly, Duane and I have talked about how we really feel, and we have talked about this with other people who are also critical thinkers, that nature seems to be unfurling, doing its natural thing of climate change and life cycle change. But this seems to be happening faster than usual because humankind has generated way too much toxicity. And so, the earth has been woken up. I know this sounds, again, esoteric, and I'm just rambling now. I haven't really, but I'll do a deep dive on this and what scientists say and what climate change is happening. But you need to know that our current solar cycle, I think it's 25, is ramping up its activity. I'm going to read here. The solar cycle describes an approximately 11-year cycle of solar activity driven by the sun's magnetic field and indicated by the frequency and intensity of the sunspots visible on the surface. Heightened solar activity poses a risk to everything, satellites and frequency, radio communications, everything in space, in our stratosphere, etc. Is that the right word? Yeah, right. And on Earth. Every 11 years or so, the sun's magnetic field flips. So north becomes south and south becomes north. Changes in the sun's magnetic field affect the amount of activity on the solar surface. So, there you go. There's a few things to read here. Now, the Voice Referendum is all over Australian media this week, but I really don't feel that this is for anyone else to get into other than First Nations people. I have asked friends of First Nations backgrounds, their opinions and their points of view, and they all differ. These are all captains of industry in their respected vocations or their artistic endeavours, and they're leaders, and these people have differing opinions about the voice. I will add links here, but how arrogant that there needs to be a vote to allow people their fundamental human rights. This is not for anyone else to talk about and to just, lump them all into one. Oh, it's just, look, am I allowed to say that's fucked? Because that is, absolutely. But the links are there for you to read. But I'm going to read you something really lovely from, I think this is from the conversation. First People's knowledge of mysterious fairy circles in Australian deserts has upended a long-standing science debate. In 2016, a group of international scientists concluded that in the Australian Pilbara, fairy circles arose from spinifex plants competing for water and nutrients. A similar explanation to the one they proposed for fairy circles in Namibia. These stories were amplified by the media, but the voices of Aboriginal desert people were not reported. In a study published in Nature, Ecology and Evolution today, we show what our Aboriginal co-authors have always known, that fairy circles in the western deserts of Australia are flat, hard pavements inhabited by spinifex termites. This knowledge about pavements and termites is shared and passed down through generations by Martu and other indigenous groups. Why such strong feelings and knowledge about all of this? Spinifex termites are kin to them. Those that live in the pavements are like the krill of desert ecosystems. They are super abundant. Most people think of above-ground termite mounds, but here is a whole community that lives mostly below the soil surface, only emerging to eat dead spinifex or to fly to reproduce. So it's all in so much harmony. This is a really, really lovely article. Have a read of it. Goes to show the First Nations people of this land. They are the world's oldest living culture, race, the knowledge base, what they know, what they saw in a world before electricity. Wow. We'll move on. I'm not really going to go much into this. This is from The Independent. So Tina Fey told Donald Glover he was a diversity hire, the actor claims, and this is from an article in The Independent. I'm sorry, but duh. He was part of some scheme, and Tina Fey openly admitted it in an article, and we'll have these links there for you. We know that that's what they're doing, diversity hires. tokenistic, it's optics. We know this because when we look at what's happening behind the scenes, it ain't black. I have to read this. The furor about this is ridiculous. Headline, and get a load of this headline, the wording. Caitlin Clark taunted by Angel Reese in NCAA Women's Basketball Tournament, American. So, Caitlin got bullied is the implication. The white one. Not that Angel victory trashed her like sports people do. You know, it's the thing, right? This could have been seen as a power move if the headline said Angel taunted Caitlin. But no, this is... Remember that I had said to you earlier about the World Rugby World Cup 2003. You know, Gregan, when the Wallabies demolished the All Blacks, how could we forget that? And Gregan's taunt of 4 more years. It's just what sports people do. Do we forget how highly competitive these people are? Anyway, I'm reading this article from news.com or something. America is sharply divided after college basketball player Angel Reese brutally mocked her opponent in the final minutes of a crucial game. Brutally mocked. LSU Tiger star Angel Reese was pictured making a "you can't see me" gesture, I don't know what that is, towards Hawkeye's guard, Caitlin Clark. I have seen it. I can't replicate it. A signal that was made famous by wrestling star John Cena. So when this black woman does it, it's brutally mocking. Please, this is a trash site anyway, news.com.au, but this is a new news low. You know, these are extremely competitive people playing competitive sport at a professional level. They're going to want to win psychologically too. It's not my thing, but it's their thing, and this is what you all want. This is why you all pay for this. I need my mental palate cleansed, and I want some pink in my life. The Barbie trailer was released, and I am here for it. Margot Robbie as original Barbie, Issa Rae as President Barbie, and Simu Liu as a Ken. Can you tell that I fan these three? I mean, there's so many stars in this, and talk about multicultural, multiracial. And you know, I love Margot Robbie, so if anyone has to do this, it has to be her. And Barbie's Barbie, and I know a lot of history, so I'm actually going to do a deep dive because there is a lot of politics and racial politics as well, economic politics as well behind the whole Barbie thing. So I'm going to do a deep dive on this one. But I was a Barbie freak as a girl. My mother bought me the brown-skinned Barbies who were called Krista. This was named after a friend of the original Barbie, Barbara Millicent, her friend, real-life friend. So the brown-skinned Barbies were Krista, but my mother said that they were all Barbies. So I thought of Barbies as more of a lifestyle, and which is another reason why I grew up thinking all skin colors are the norm, and that not one skin color, not one had dominance. It was all equal. Anyway, I had a lot of Barbies. I inherited my appreciation of fashion and the understanding of style from my mother, but the Barbies made me understand that clothing is a language, because when Barbie was dressed a certain way, you knew she was an astronaut, she was a doctor, she was a professor, she was an equestrian because her clothes told you so. She couldn't. She can barely talk. But anyway, I want to talk about clothing as a language. This leads me to Dior's recent show in Mumbai, India, that the world's going gaga over. Look, that's really sweet that the House of Dior went to India to somewhat acknowledge India's artistry and how, the inspiration was heavily borrowed from India. And I do appreciate that Maria Grazia Curie is the first woman at the helm of the house, and she does acknowledge her ateliers, because a designer is nothing without their ateliers. These are the ones who are actually putting everything together. The designer is the one with the vision, so therefore they should get the glory, sure, because they're the ones who came up with the idea, and they find the right people to execute that idea. But a designer is nothing without the people executing their ideas. But anyway, this is all just a whole lot of bupkis, I don't know. It's not really my thing, but I'm going to do a deep dive on it. So I'm going to end with this. There are many benefits to having one's own platform and media empire. Of course, there's that adage that with great power comes great responsibility. Thank you, Ben Parker. So you make sure not to make it about yourself. This is a news channel. It's not Instagram, but I do want to share this. It may not mean anything to you personally. I may not be known to you, but collectively this may resonate because it just goes to show that this could happen to anyone. I'm reading from my personal essay on the Stylander. For the last few decades, I've had to contend with all sorts of lies and gossip about me. Some may even be true. Some, not all. I'm not a saint. But it hurts to be gossip about, even if it is true. Look, I look thick-skinned, but I'm actually thin-skinned because I feel things. I'm not a cold reptile, smiling assassin auntie. Anyway, my core is strong, which is what counts. But one of the one's stories that most definitely is not true is this persistent story, lie, gossip about there being a sex tape, blue movie we used to call it back then, featuring me. You wish. So this is why I am posting this episode from our radio fly-up. I hope you listen to it. It's somehow Facebook gets gives stalkers and spammers loopholes despite their supposed tight security. So I get a lot of spam messages from some stalker harassing me, which is what prompted this episode. Have a listen to it. That's all I have to say. So if you have to have a media empire, you must use it for good. And, share the spotlight, information. Oh, watch this space. See you next week.